Hello. Welcome. How are y'all doing today? Hope you're all well. Just getting set up here. I've got my home blend essential oil batch 43, which smells like the studio. So if you've been to the home studio, this is the scent. If you're wondering what it smells like, you can purchase a scent on our website. It's the best scent ever. A lot of citrus in it, and then some like grounding essential oils like vetiver. I like to dab it on my wrists, rub it into my hands, smell it, sometimes rub a little bit on the back of my neck as well. This helps to ground. It's also uplifting and grounding at the same time, which kind of best of both worlds. And then I'm just gonna burn some Palo Santo too, just to kind of set the tone for the practice. I always like having either a candle burning or some incense when I'm at home. I don't always use it when I'm teaching in the studio because I know some people are sensitive to scent. So if you come to my class at the studio, I won't have any of these things there, but you can always do your own, bring your own essential oils and kind of have it to yourself. I always like to just be careful with people that have sensitivities. Just do a little smudge around myself, give you guys a little smudgy love too. So for today's practice, just make sure you have a rolled up blanket with you, a mat laid out, or just a space where you can kind of stretch out and spread out. So rolled up blanket or mat, and we're gonna get started in just a moment, but if you're already with us here, we're gonna be in child's pose to start. So if you wanna get into position now, feel free. I'm just gonna wait a couple more moments for others to join. So for child's pose, we wanna keep the big toes together, as close together as we can. And then we're gonna open the knees wide apart. So just kind of play around. It doesn't have to be super wide or super close together, just finding that perfect spot for yourself. And then lowering down, hands reaching forward, resting down through the forehead. This is our starting position. And when you come into child's pose, it's always different for everyone. So if your forehead is just kind of floating and unable to ground down, bring that rolled up blanket under your forehead for support. So starting off in child's pose, for those that are just joining us now, just gonna wait, how many more minutes? About 3 more minutes before we officially get started. I'm just seeing if anyone else will be joining us today. So for those just joining, coming into child's pose. Making sure we have that rolled up blanket or towel. And if you've been flowing with me and following along with me for a while now, you'll see how many things we can do with just a rolled up blanket or towel. So I hope you're kind of taking note of the classes that you've done with me, and hopefully you're incorporating some of these fun shapes and movement practices just throughout your day. So, you don't need to check in. It's nice that we have these classes available, but you can do this on your own too. So just kind of take that mental note of some of the shapes and flows that we explore in our practice today, and feel free to incorporate them into your daily routine if you just need a moment to reset and regroup. For those just joining us, we're going to be starting in child's pose. So bringing big toes together, hips towards heels, knees as far apart or as wide as feels comfortable. Arms are going to extend out in front, and we can either rest the forehead down on our mat, or if the mat is far away from us today, bringing that rolled up blanket under the forehead for support. So it looks like, yeah, it's 2 o'clock now, so we'll get started. Coming into that child's pose. If you've been there for some time already, you're just getting a little bit more out of it. We're gonna just rest down here. So either having that blanket under the forehead for support or just grounding down through the forehead. And let the arms relax, elbows down. And taking a moment here to connect with the earth beneath you. Feeling the ground beneath you. Nice full and expansive breaths. As we breathe in, feeling the back expanding. And as we breathe out, grounding down just a little bit more. Inhaling, filling up, feeling the low back expanding, the mid back and upper back. On the exhale, letting the body become heavier and heavier. Just taking this time to check in. For those just joining, we're in child's pose. Breathing deeply, checking in. Couple more breaths here. Just allowing everything to go. Let's try our best throughout today's practice to stay connected with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling, allowing our breath to be a tool to aid us in staying connected to the present moment and staying within the body. Let's take one more big breath in and out here in our child's pose. And then we're going to lift the head up. We're going to ground down through the hands and we're going to shift our weight forward. So we're coming onto hands and knees. You can use that rolled up blanket. If the floor that you're on is super hard, you might want to just unroll the blanket, fold it instead and bring it under the knees just for some added support and cushion. We're going to be flowing through cat and cow. Shoulders stack right over wrists, knees under hips, hip distance apart. As we breathe in, tailbone's gonna lift up, belly's gonna sink down, shoulder blades are gonna squeeze together, crown of the head's gonna lift. Cow back. On the exhale, we're gonna point our tailbone down, drawing the navel up and in, lifting up through the mid-back, lots and lots of space in between the shoulder blades, crown of the head drops. Cat. Inhaling, starting at the tailbone, moving into cow. Exhaling, starting at the tailbone, moving into cat. Flowing with the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Try your best to allow the movement to begin at the tailbone and feel each vertebrae one at a time responding to the one before it. Allowing that movement to initiate at the tailbone and then ripple all the way up to the crown of the head as we move through cat and as we move through cow. Our spines love this kind of movement. So just taking a couple of breaths here to nourish the spine. Waking things up. If the wrists are feeling a little bit tender or achy, having the palms flat on the ground, we can always shift to fists, creating fists with the hands, letting the thumbs point forward and just resting on the flat part of the knuckles. This helps to bring the wrists out of flexion. Couple more rounds here through cat and cow. Full and expansive breaths as we flow, moving through the full expression of each breath. Let the breath be the rhythm that you follow. And then coming into a neutral spine, we're going to come back flat onto our hands if we created fist. We're going to walk the hands a little bit more forward, this time bringing hips slightly forward of the knees. So we're more in a kneeling plank now. We're going to arch the back, and we're going to bring the hips all the way back. So coming into a cat back, sending the hips back towards the heels. And then we're going to think cow back, tilting the tailbone up, lifting up through the crown of the head, starting low on the arms and coming all the way forward. So we're going to be moving in a wave-like shape. So still moving through cat and cow, but shifting a little bit more forward and back. So getting the shoulders and the hips a little bit more involved here. So cow, breathing in, exhaling, catch back, sending hips back. So don't worry too much about how this looks. It's all about how it feels. So just let go, maybe close the eyes, breathe and flow. Don't worry if you're breathing the opposite way that I initially cued. Just breathe. Breathe, flow, and let go. Don't worry about it. Breathe and feel into it. And now we're going to go in the opposite way. So we're going to start with the tailbone up. We're going to bring the hips back. And then we're going to round out through the back as we come forward. So doing the opposite movement now. Just noticing, maybe feeling some new sensations going this way. Tailbone up, head up as we sink the hips back. Rounding out through the back as we shift forward. Couple more rounds here. Hands and knees. Now we're just going to be creative with our movements. We can wiggle the hips from side to side, maybe imagining as though we're a snake slithering through tall grass. Can do some spinal rolls here perhaps too, finding cat-cow and side bends, maybe looking over one shoulder, over the other shoulder. So this is your time to play. Get creative. You can shift forward and back. Can move the spine in an S shape. No right or wrong. Just exploring your body and breathing into all those little hidden pockets of tension. Noticing what your body needs today. Good. From here, coming back onto hands and knees. We're going to take a big breath in. We're going to reach our right arm all the way up towards the ceiling. Big breath in. On the exhale, we're going to thread our right hand behind the left, reaching it as far to the left as we can. And then inhaling, we're going to reach it all the way back up. 2 more times before we rest. Exhaling, thread it through. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, thread it through. 1 more time. Big breath in. Exhaling, thread it through. And this time we're going to rest on the side of the shoulder. And we're going to rest the side of the head down. We can use that left hand to push the floor away, deepening the stretch, or not. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. And then grounding down through the left hand, Big breath in, reaching that right arm all the way up, holding here, maybe even looking up towards the ceiling, towards the hand. And then lowering that hand back down. We're gonna try it on the other side now. Big breath in, left arm reaching up. Exhaling. Threading the left hand behind the right, reaching as far to the right as we can. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, thread it through. Good. Inhaling up. Exhaling through. Good. One more time. Let's reach it up. Exhaling, thread it through. Reach as far to the right as you can. Dropping down onto that outer left shoulder, resting the left side of the head down. Using the right hand to push the floor away if you want to deepen that twist. Or just use it for support. Your choice. Full and expansive breaths here. Okay, let's ground down to that right hand. Pushing the floor up and away. Reaching that left arm all the way back up, holding here. Good. Lowering that hand down. Let's just sit up onto our shins for a moment. Give the arms a little shake out. Roll out the shoulders, lifting them up towards the ears, down and back. Maybe releasing a little bit through the neck. Good. And then we're going to prepare for our restorative posture. So we're going to take our rolled up blanket. We're going to take our blanket and roll it up if it's not rolled yet. We're going to have to kind of decide how much of a roll we want. We can kind of shift this as we get into it. I like it fairly rolled up, but I've done this a couple of times now, so I'm pretty used to the sensations. You might want to start with a smaller, less thick roll. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be lying down flat, face down on our bellies, and we're going to have our rolled up blanket right under our tummies, right on the softest part of the belly. So we want it right in the middle where there's no bones. So it's not touching our frontal hip points, our hip bones, and it's not touching our low ribs. It's going to be laying in that spot right in the middle where there's no bones. So bringing the rolled up blanket onto our mat. We're going to come back onto hands and knees. We're going to slowly lower down onto our bellies, maybe coming up onto the forearms to start. And just wiggling until we have the blanket in that spot where it's not touching the ribs and it's not touching our frontal hip point. So feel free to scooch a little bit forward if you need to, or back. And maybe from here you can already tell if it's way too thick, if you want to make it a little bit thinner. So you can always start thinner or thicker and adjust as you need to. So once you feel set with how rolled up your blanket is, we're gonna come all the way down. So we're gonna bring our elbows out in front, and we're gonna stack our hands to create space for our face and our nose. We're gonna rest the forehead down on our stacked hands. And we're gonna let the body be super, super heavy here. Face down towards our mat. I'm just lifting my head up so you can hear me still. I'm not muffled by the ground and my arm. But rest down, let the body be heavy. Feeling the body just melting around that rolled up blanket. And then come back to the breath. As you breathe in, pushing that blanket away with the belly. And then as you breathe out, softening back down around the blanket. Nice full breaths in and out here. So in this shape, we are stimulating our vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body. It's a direct link to our nervous system. And it helps to regulate our nervous system. So when we are able to stimulate the vagus nerve, we're bringing our bodies back into that rest and digest state, tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. So just taking a couple of deep breaths here, lying down over that rolled up blanket that's in the softest part of the belly. We're stimulating the vagus nerve. We're calming and relaxing the body. So taking a few more breaths here, just allowing whatever arises to come up. Try your best to stay connected with the breath. Stay connected with the sensations that you're feeling in the body, and just let everything else go. Let any worries that you might be holding on to today just melt down into the ground, in through the earth. Allowing the earth to hold us, to nurture us as we rest here and restore. Back up. We're gonna walk the hands in, lifting the chest up, and we'll meet back in a seat, we can use our rolled up blanket to help prop the hips up. Closing with a seated meditation. Sitting up nice and tall, legs can be crossed or we can be kneeling, whatever's more comfortable for you today. And we'll keep the palms down to ground down a little bit more. Let's roll the shoulders up towards the ears, down and back. Eyes can be open or closed. As we breathe in, visualizing the spine, imagining the spine growing taller from the very base of the spine all the way up to the top of the head. And as we breathe out, visualizing the spine and working our way down the spine as we breathe out, feeling the body becoming heavier and heavier. Inhaling, climbing one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to the crown of the head. And as we breathe out, walking all the way back down, one vertebrae at a time. Visualizing the spine here as we begin to settle into stillness. Allowing our senses to be wide open, feeling the touch of the air on the skin. Noticing any lights, shapes, or colors that you might see. Noticing the scent of the room that you're in, any smells. Noticing the taste inside of your mouth. If the mind is wandering, that is okay. It's the nature of the mind to wander. Bringing our awareness back to the breath over and over again to help stay anchored in the body. Tuning back into the senses. Just letting those thoughts float on by. No need to hold on to them or let those thoughts ruminate. Just let them go. Coming back to feeling and breathing. Over and over again. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. Inhaling, filling up. Nice slow and long exhales to release. Inhaling, filling up. Big breath in through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. Inhaling in through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. On our next breath in, let's reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Maybe looking up, big stretch. Bringing palms of hands together. Exhaling, hands down to heart center. We're going to close our practice today with a moment of gratitude. Let's all think of one thing that we are grateful for in our lives today. We're going to make it an I am statement. So I am grateful for whatever it is that you're grateful for. You can say it out loud or you can say it inside of your head. Once you've said your statement, just let that moment and that feeling of gratitude settle into the body, feeling it in through the bones, through the flesh. Allowing a gentle smile to wash over your face, lifting the corners of the lips, feeling a smile in through the eyes, and feeling a smile in the heart. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. Thank you all. My name is Susie. So lovely to be here and be able to share this practice with you all. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on Thursday. I'll be leading our peditation where we'll be meditating with our pets. So bring your pets along. It might be difficult if you have a fish, I'm just thinking, but most pets will be able to participate. They might want to do their own thing, so they might not be as into it as we will be, but bring your pets with you. That's going to be Thursday at 7 through home. So bring your pets. We're going to do a lovely peditation. See you then, guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. All good. I laugh all the time, so no worries. See ya.